everyone. My name is Hamaria Crockett, and I am the Director of Learning and Development here at SoFi. And we're going to talk about something that may not be the greatest topic, but it will at least be helpful by the end of this particular video. You'll receive the news that you're not able to work remote. So let's chat about it. Okay, so you got the news. Your company says, due to their policy, you're not going to be able to work remote. So what can you do? There are tons of things that is important for you to note. So we're going to kind of start with some fundamentals that will be important as you kind of start thinking about what are some things that you can do. So you got to go back to the office and you want to be able to talk to your manager about maybe you can stay. Maybe you can stay remote. So what are some ways that you may be able to get some help? And so that you can navigate through the company policy, as well as some tactics that will help you, as well as being a manager, to get with talking to your employees, just in case they have to go back into the office. Okay, well, the fun has begun. So you're an employee, you can't go back remote, but you want to be able to talk to your manager about it. So what is it that you can do? There are tons of ways to get started, but I think one of the most important things that you can do is to venture out on kind of sharing with your manager what are the possibilities. What are some things that they may have in mind if it is working from home, maybe one day a week, or, like a hybrid, maybe going to the office as well as working from home. So let me kind of explain some things that additionally that you can do. So you can talk to your manager about what is the plan? What is the organization's return to work policy? What does that look like so far? Also, once you kind of get a good idea about what does the actual policy look like, you want to do some investigation. Read over the policy. Make sure you understand the policy. So when you are having a conversation with your manager, you're not just kind of thinking, this is all new news. So again, be sure that you are doing your own research and then have that conversation with your manager about the policy. And think about this as a negotiation. How can you kind of negotiate your terms so you win a little and your manager may be able to win a little, and hopefully the organization will be able to be the ultimate winner. So what you don't want to do, you don't want to go into a conversation with your manager kind of talking about the woes or a whole lot of things that are personal, because it's not just about you needing to work from home for this reason or that reason, but you want to make sure that you come to the conversation prepared. And you can be prepared by framing the conversation about how you've already helped the business so far. Over the last few months or even year that maybe you've worked remote, what have you been able to accomplish? What have you been able to do? How have you been able to increase some things or to do some new adventures or even have some new projects? What have you been able to do? Make sure you discuss that with your manager. You also want to demonstrate how I like to say you've been a rock star. So how have you been a rock star in your role? Have you taken on some additional projects? Have you been able to be seen by senior leaderships? What does it look like? What have you done? You also may discuss about your commute. Is it going to be more efficient for you to do your work at home versus having to have an extremely long commute? And really think about what are some key points that your manager will light up if they have the ability to make the changes so that you can work remote. So remember, the policy. Also think about how can you make sure you can persuade your manager just in case you can work either more hybridly or at least coming to the office a little bit less. Because leadership is key. Now, if you are a leader, you may think about, if they said that my people have to be back at the office, well, then there it is. But you also want to think about how can you have conversations with your employees about what's the next process. You want to ensure that you know the policy of the organization. You want to make sure if there are any options to explore if there's a way for them to be your employees to be hybrid. Because when you're having the conversation with your employees, you want to ensure that you've touched all of the aspects and get as many questions answered because they're going to be coming to you for answers. If you don't understand something as an employee, make sure that you circle back with leadership so that you can have a greater understanding of what you can do so that you can present that to your employees. If there is an opportunity that you get to advocate for your employees as a manager, do it. Feel empowered that you can speak to your leadership about why certain individuals would be doing well remotely and how you can continue to advocate for them, even if it is a hybrid kind of setup. Remember, everyone works better the way that they kind of work, and it's a fallacy to believe that everybody that's in the office, they do better jobs, because it's shown within the last year that's not necessarily true. So you may have to change your ways if you are a manager and really think about how things have changed in the world and how you may have had to change as a leader. More than anything, remember, this is happening with major companies. So having a hybrid work, having people remote and people at the office, that's just kind of the way of the world. So you want to make sure that there's some flexibility if possible. Now, if you are that person that you just love the 9 to 5, especially if you were a manager and you're thinking everybody's going to just love the idea of going back to the office, remember the research says that millennials and Gen Z, they're like, we don't want to do that. So that's something that you may want to think about if those are the populations that's on your team. They may be those individuals that want to be able to show and to demonstrate and to be that person that works remotely and not having to be in the office every day. So think about some workarounds. What are some decisions that you can make as a leader that you can speak to your leadership about that they may not have had kind of in their own mind as it relates to a return to work policy? Finally, if your company is like, everybody's going back, no ifs, ands, no buts about it, everybody's returning back to work, well, you want to make sure if you're a manager, have individual conversations with your employees. You don't want them to just hear it from the CEO's mouth or see it in an email. You want to make sure that you're having a one-on-one conversation with every person on your team so that you can hear their thoughts around it and, again, offer them some solutions. Now, we're going to do great work no matter where we are, and we want to just make sure that every time that you get to be an employee or that you are a manager, that you have the opportunity just to do great work. So if you keep that top of mind, if you were or were not selected to go back into the office, you want to just, again, make sure that you're doing amazing work. Well, those are my tips for today, and hopefully they were very helpful to you. If you haven't done so already, go to the SoFi app. Click on Korn Ferry Advanced so that you can get your complimentary career coaching session. It can be your first or your 50th, but make sure that you are using that service because it's complimentary. Have fun.